We arrive at what is best, most satisfying in what culture develops, which strictly deserves the name of wisdom, and for which is passionate who rightly claims to be a philosopher, a lover of wisdom. Certainly, culture encompasses all that one adds to human nature, all what comes and completes the skill of the hands, the freedom of will, the knowledge of intelligence. Nonetheless, culture implies a hierarchy. What has been listed so far, up to the arts, dialectical research, practical sciences, including even ethics and politics, called practical wisdom, prepares a situation where, freed from urgent practical problems, one indulges in pure leisure, in an activity good not because of some usefulness, but in itself, as maximum human perfection. Speculative knowledge, which satisfies our intelligence, by placing it in possession of the noblest truth, this speculative activity constitutes the true bliss of man. Moving to this level is not self-evident. Two essential conditions must be met. The first, an ardent love for wisdom. Such an attraction presupposes that an adequate education has prepared, through familiarity with the beauty of music, visual arts, poetry, and with the joy of glimpsing profound truth, not only a competent worker, not only a politician of stature, but someone capable of leisure, of free intellectual activity, not useful, good in itself. The deprivation of such education condemns to the absurdity of appreciating as good and interesting only what one finds useful. Education centered on the useful kills astonishment, atrophies the desire to understand. The second condition remains difficult even for a lover of wisdom, to recognize the situation that allows leisure, at least part-time. It requires the ability to lead a simple life. Aristotle, his master, and his disciples believed their practical problems solved even without relying on medicine, electricity, automobiles, computers. To us, equipped with all these tools and comfort, there always seems to be some urgent problem to be solved before accessing leisure. If those two conditions are met, what will we be interested in? First, in natural beings, without intention of using them, simply to wonder about them, to realize that despite the familiarity, we do not understand them. They change in many ways. Some live, some perceive. As to us, we think. All this is done somewhere, in some time. We are no longer surprised of these facts, and yet we do not understand anything in them. Each of these objects deserves St. Augustine's reaction to time. I know very well what it is, but if someone asks me, I don't know anymore. I can neither define or explain it. What is nature? What is change? What is generation, corruption, displacement, alteration, growth? What is the time that measures them and the place where they happen? What is life? What is sensation? What is intellection? These are questions that seem very simple, yet they are the subject of the first philosophical questioning. To be astonished of them, to answer them adequately, this results in the first speculative science, natural science, episteme psyche, physics, a completely different physics, however, than what is called physics today. This experimental science, which falsely claims to have replaced the philosophy of nature for the better, but in fact testifies to our ever-present temptation to return to technological concerns, even when we enjoy enough comfort to indulge in the leisure of speculative science. If the education received makes it possible to take an interest in them, none of these objects will seem obvious. Everyone, on the contrary, will surprise, even shock. Change, for example, seems to imply contradiction. It is beginning to be, which supposes that one is not yet, because what already is does not need to change in order to be. Yet, what is not cannot change. We must already be to change. This contradiction is the scandal that led Parmenides, one of the first bearers of this astonishment, to sulk change, to deny its existence, however obvious. In fact, change most eloquently testifies to the Creator's will to make any possible type of being exist. With the material being, he took up his greatest challenge to make exist a being which does not exist from the outset, which needs to be generated in order to exist, which must moreover be altered in order to correct the imperfection of its initial being. Human intelligence has given the Creator a similar challenge to create an intellect that does not intellect, which does not know, which has to learn to correct its initial ignorance, and for this is in need of external and internal senses to provide it with the opportunity of its concepts, and of the whole material universe for the existence and activity of these senses. Place, time, life, sensation, intellection defy our understanding just as much. In return, to be amazed by all these mysteries and to find just and true answers to them is the source of a contentment that gives meaning to our life and makes it happy. On the other hand, endless improvements in living conditions, health, and comfort leave one deeply dissatisfied and bored if they do not prepare such a speculative life.